If you've ever thought about major transitions in your career, then this podcast episode is for you. In this episode, I'm having the podcast guest Tanya Corsa with me. And Tanya is a former CEO of an IT company that now turned into a health and wellness coach. In this episode, she will share all of her insights into her journey, how she stepped up the corporate ladder, finally leading an entire company, and how she changed over her life completely when she had an issue with one of her children that got sick, and she started to dig deeper into the health and wellness topics. Tanya is a very inspiring woman. She's living in Beijing, and I'm so grateful to have her in the podcast. Hi, and welcome everybody to the Corporate Warriors podcast. My name is Fela, and in this episode, I am having a special guest, Tanya Corsa, with me. Tanya Corsa is a health and wellness coach, and she's a former CEO of an IT company, and now has completely changed her life and career around. And I'm so excited to have you here, Tanya. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Fela, and thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited about our upcoming conversation.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. So, Tanya, would you mind introducing yourself a little bit, just giving an overview of what you're doing currently, and then afterwards we can dive a little bit deeper into your whole story.
Yeah, sure. I'm a holistic wellness and health coach, and I run a private practice. And I'm helping my individual and group clients to rediscover themselves and redesign their life to center it around their joy, their life goals, and their fulfillment using the science behind nutrition, exercise, and mindset.
Wow, that is so great. Thank you so much for sharing that. How did you end up there? Like, were you always interested in sports, nutrition, health? Or was it something that just basically came into your lives in the past few years?
So yeah, I'm not a traditional fitness or health coach. In fact, I entered the industry rather late or just in time, as I believe myself. So I started my practice a little bit more than 2 years ago. And before that, I actually spent my whole career in the corporate world, working across several industries.
Wow, yeah, and a very successful corporate career, I need to add to that. So do you mind giving us a rough outline? Obviously, super interesting to hear other successful women, how they did things and how they managed to get from one job to another. So if you would give us a rough outline about your career as a whole, that would be great.
So I started out in media and journalism. So my first position was a press center director for the news outlet in Beijing, where I'm based now. So I'm just staying here for the second time. It's my second term here. And after that, I actually transitioned to completely another industry, which is the energy sector. So I was responsible for the international projects and was doing lots of communications related work, being responsible for the Asia Pacific region. And then I actually followed my husband to Japan, where I was also working part-time. And this is actually how I ended up spending more than 10 years in Asia, living between China and Japan.
Wow. And how did you get from being, let's say, a rather normal employee to becoming a CEO of an IT company?
Well, yeah, that's kind of an interesting story. And if you think that I'm just that brave to suddenly change my whole life and leave the corporate world and become an entrepreneur, I would probably disappoint you because that's not the real story. The real story is that I was in Tokyo, and we just welcomed 3 of our kids. And I was actually thinking about my next career move. And then, because I already had that idea on my mind that I'd like to transfer to another sector, to IT sector, I was actually looking for the opportunities to do that. And this is how we started a company, our own company with my partner. And we just combined our expertise. So he had an expertise in IT sector, and I had expertise in communications and marketing. And that was our initial setup.
Great. And how did that develop? Can you take us a little bit also on that journey? So you basically were an entrepreneur already before now being a coach, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So that was my first entrepreneurial job, I would say. So I took the lead and became the CEO for the company. And we were really into interesting things because we're developing the enterprise software, and it was about designing the IT infrastructure, the corporate IT infrastructure. And it actually went pretty well just until we unexpectedly hit the wall, and it was mainly due to the circumstances that we were not in control. So back in 2022, with all that global turmoil, we actually had to freeze our company, and that's what happened.
Yeah, totally understandable. But was it like a hard moment for you, or was there also some part of you that was already longing to do something completely different?
Well, that was a really hard moment because, in a way, I had my whole identity attached to that company. So they were not kind of, two persons. There was just only one person who was a CEO for the IT company, working full time, having 3 kids, and just juggling everything. And I was just laser focused on pushing hard and signing up new clients. So when it all came to the end, obviously it was a really big personal question. To be honest, I also took it as my personal fault and my inability to succeed. So I'd say that was, some kind of an identity crisis. But then again, obviously, in every hard moment, in every failure, there is a really big opportunity for future growth. And this is actually when I had to redesign my own life, to ask myself some hard questions like, what do I really want to do for the next 5-10 years? And what are some of my strengths that I can rely on? And actually, now that I didn't have a team to back me or anyone to back me in general, I had to bet on myself.
You said something really interesting. You said that you completely attached your identity to being the CEO of this company. And even if you're not the CEO of a company, right, which is probably the highest that we can go, that is something that is so common. So first of all, when did you learn? Like, when did you, find that out about yourself, that actually that is part of the issue, that you attach your identity to a job or to a title?
To tell you the truth, I never thought about it, about like having any other identity, because my only identity that I recognized inside myself was always attached to my job. And this was a really common pattern for me, from the very beginning, because I started my career pretty early. I got my first position when I was only 23, already leading, a team. So it has always been about, only going up. And to me, in a way, it looked like a linear process, So you're just taking one step after another, and each step should always be like, a big success. That's how I actually imagine my career. So, shifting away from this perspective and actually, gaining a new perspective, developing inside myself was a really big internal journey that I had to take, in order to get where I am today. So, just separating yourself and not building your worth upon your career or any other life achievements is something really important, and something we work on together with many of my clients, because it's pretty much natural to identify yourself with something. This is what we all humans do, we identify ourselves with people, our circle we belong to, our career, or some other spheres of our life. And the main thing here is actually to find your inner confidence, and that's huge belief that no matter what, you always have your work with you.
Yeah, that is very wise and very true. And I think also listening to you, it makes so much sense, because as a human being, obviously we evolve. So as long as your career also evolves step after step, it gets better. It makes so much sense without even thinking about it. It makes so much sense to make that part of your identity. But then at the moment of regress, because obviously at some point, either there's no bigger step up, or something happens, a crisis. It can be a personal crisis, it can be a business crisis, a career crisis, whatever it is. But then once we regress, it's like you cannot go back in human development, like in personal development. So then it's like when I guess most people are forced to realize, well, that was actually not my identity. That was just my career, what I do for a living, but it's not who I am. It doesn't define me as a person. So I think that's a super important point, and it makes so much sense that everybody's doing that. So I think the earlier we can learn that, the safer we are in terms of stressing too much about our jobs or burnout and all of these things, because I think that comes a lot from the attachment to the identity, right? So what would you...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, just recognizing that your life consists of different parts, and you are the most important piece of puzzle, because otherwise what your life becomes is just a collection of miscellaneous puzzles that all fit together, but they just don't feel right, because you're absent there, and you're the core element.
Yeah, totally. So basically, the moment you realized that was when you were forced to rethink your whole life, and to reset, take a step back and be like, okay, how was that? Can you guide us through that process a little bit? Because I think that's a super important process. And I think it's just great, to see you as a person who really took the challenge and transformed it into a advantage, to formed it into a big life question. What do I really want to do? How do I want to live my life? But how did you get there? Because I can fully understand, right? At this specific point in time, you still had to juggle your kids. You still had to make sure that there's enough money. And since you were a CEO, I just imagined that you were also a big breadwinner of the family. So how were you able to transform it that quickly as well? Do you have any insights, or in hindsight, how would you evaluate that?
Well, looking back, I think that the main thing about all this process was just, reconnecting to my values and to things that I find important in life. And, in those crisis moments, obviously, we need support, and we need to rely on others. And, when we're just used to always, pushing through, moving forward, and leading others, it may become really uncomfortable to seek help. And obviously, I had some professional help that I reached out to on my side. But then one thing that actually helped me is that I knew that I was not starting from zero, and I think this is a really important thing to realize is that whenever you're making any career changes or any other changes in your life, you're not starting from zero, because you already have that life experience, that career experience. So at least you're starting from one, and or maybe even higher. If we're looking on that degree from 1 to 10, it really depends on where you put yourself on that scale. And that being said, I was just thinking from two. I was looking at this situation from 2 points of view. So one of them was, emotional, just reconnecting with my values and asking myself those hard questions, like to get really, sincere with myself. Like what I want to do next, but then also analyzing my current skill sets, and also analyzing the market, and analyzing the industry, and connecting those dots for myself. And this is actually what I'm doing right now with my clients, because whenever we are talking about career, we're often focused on a specific industry or a specific role, but we don't actually look at the whole picture. So it's not just about going to the office and participating in some specific project. It's about having your own strategic plan, your own vision, what you want your career and ultimately life to look like. So that's actually that was the process that was going on in my mind like that.
Well, yeah, super empowering as well, right? Because you regain the whole power over your career, over your life, who you want to be and how you want to get there. That's really amazing. How long was that process? So, when did you actually take the decision to become a health and wellness coach from CEO of a tech company? I mean, from the outside perspective, obviously that's a huge jump, but I'm pretty sure that for you it wasn't, I imagine.
I didn't take like lots of time, to think about it, but also because I had another, really personal story of my family and my daughter. So it all kind of happens all together. So I lost my job, and my daughter was also diagnosed with autism, and we learned about it just by chance. In fact, she had some tantrums, and we couldn't understand why exactly she was having them. And then we found out that it was about gluten, and this was actually the trigger for my future career development. I was pretty much into lifting weights and exercising, but I never thought about it as from the professional or career perspective. Just back in that moment, my personal family story and my values and my understanding of the industry trends, they kind of all came to one point. And back then I remember I was just sitting on the sofa and thinking about my future, and then just deciding to make this strategic move, and saying to myself that okay, I still have that time, and what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna work. The most important thing in our life is like health and our personal well-being, and that would actually help me unlock any other door, whichever career path I'm going to choose next to succeed. First of all, I need to have that energy to move on. So that was the whole process, and basically it took me around 4 months to make that switch, and I invested, my last savings into joining a program for the nutrition therapists, and that's just how it all began.
Wow, congratulations on your bravery. I think that's very courageous. And a very inspiring story also, again, right? How the private life does influence a lot our professional lives. if we let it, for sure. But it just makes so much sense, and your story is very inspiring. So I just to follow up on that, basically that means after you switch your diets around and make some adjustments, now you are having, let's say, less tantrums as well with your daughter, and everything seems to be smoother.
Yeah, exactly. It's that was actually the road I started to walk, starting from myself. So every recommendation, every piece of knowledge that I was collecting it for my own family, for my daughter, and I was immediately applying it. And actually, it took me a little bit less than 3 months to get my first really basic certification in nutrition coaching, and this is how I actually started my practice. And I believe that in many cases, we're kind of seeking that perfection until we get a degree, a diploma, or something else, to actually start calling ourselves, a professional. And we are often missing the point that it's absolutely fine to start earlier if you define your practice and you're not telling people stories about yourself who you are not, but you're just acknowledging your limits of your expertise, and you start working with people and truly trying to help them within the scope of your practice.
That's amazing. So who are the people currently that come to you and take advantage of your knowledge and your practice?
So I'm working mainly with women who have career jobs, and some of my offline clients I actually meant I work with both, but specifically with women, because I believe it's really important that we do not just focus on our career, but we also focus on our well-being and learn how to find time for that self-care we obviously all deserve.
Yeah. And what is first, like, how do those women find you? Does there always need to be a major crisis first until they reach out, or do they already recognize in the process of their career that they should focus more on themselves, on their body, on their well-being as well?
Well, it really depends, because we are all at different stages of our life, and I work with women who are in their 30s mainly, but also have some elder clients. So, and this is a really important point, because usually we pay attention to our health only when we kind of, start getting problems. I don't want to use the word lose health, but just like starting having all those problems. And, I'm just noticing this really big mindset transition between the generations, and how we actually approach our career and our well-being. So I have some clients who are around 30, so they're under 30, and they actually prioritize their health and mental wellness much more than some of my elder clients. But then again, it really depends on the person. So this is the approach I'm actually developing within my practice, that there is no cookie cutter solution, and the way we understand joy or fulfillment, or successful career, it really depends on the person. And whenever we're talking about career advancements, and as I've mentioned previously, I was actually one of those people who believe that career can only be linear. So it's just really important to recognize that there is a bunch of opportunities, and you can actually create and build your career around your lifestyle. And to many of us, it sounds like something impossible, because we're thinking about career as something that we have to do, instead of actually enjoying it and making it a really big contribution to our well-being. So, shifting that perspective, it actually takes time. And, with those clients who are, a little bit younger, I'm really happy when I see them because that actually, helps them create that change for themselves much earlier. And obviously, it's never too late to redesign your life, but, having it's kind of figured out on the basic level from the start makes it much easier to move forward.
Totally. I mean, a part of resilience is also your bodily and health resilience, right? So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm also actually glad to hear that overall, let's say, the younger generation seems to have understood that way better and earlier, because I'm really thinking back in my career, there were quite a few leaders that basically at some point, they had a major health crisis at their work, like a heart attacks or something like that. And they had to call the ambulance to come to the workplace to bring them to the hospital. And that's just a horror story, basically. I mean, imagine, I mean, in that case, it all went well, but imagine somebody dying at their job. I mean, that's just crazy, actually, if you really think about that, right? Just because everything is getting so personal, and then, there's so much anger and emotions and frustration probably as well. And then that leads to bad habits, bad eating habits, bad sports habits, not taking care of yourself, working those crazy hours. And if it then would end that way, I mean, that's just a nightmare to think about that. So it's great to hear that people apparently start to be more aware of it, especially the younger generation, to not follow a certain pattern that perhaps their parents thought was the normal. That's really great to hear. And you also said that basically your clients, they learn throughout the process often that basically their job shouldn't take away their health, but they can sort it out in a way that they can have both. At least that's what I got from what you said. Overall, just if you think about all the clients that you have already served and worked with, would you say that this is possible even staying in the job that they currently have, or is it most often linked with switching jobs or switching companies and starting fresh under new premises?
Well, I would definitely say that there is a really huge room for improvement in just any situation. And, I really hope that, anyone, like all of us, we could, kind of escape that black and white thinking. So it's either a career or family, or it's either a corporate job or starting your own business. So in general, whenever you're staying in a corporate job or you're starting your own business, there is one thing that always remains the same, and that's you. And just learning how to implement those small changes into your life, like instead of staying in the office until like 10 p.m., like first starting by staying until 9 p.m. and actually teaching that perfectionism and accepting that right now your life looks a certain way, but it doesn't really have to look that way forever. And starting applying the small daily changes and introducing a little bit of self-care here and there into your life is actually what creates that shift. Because when we're talking about changing your a career path or joining another company, it requires a lot of inner readiness to do that. And it's actually a really stressful event. Even if it's a positive one, it's still stressful. And before we actually move that big shift, we ideally would like to develop, that inner resilience, and to actually be our own touch base, so whenever it comes at our face, we could actually welcome it to our life and at least tolerate it without burning out. And this is the process. So this is a process, and you need time to develop those skills and develop that inner resilience. And the way you do it is actually by introducing those health habits, by paying more attention to your nutrition. And when I'm saying nutrition, I don't really mean like calories. What I mean is actually looking at food as a source of hidden power, something you can actually fuel your body with to help you reach those goals that you have in your life. Because unless you feel energized in the morning, there is no way for you to get to where you want to go in the long run. So this is just one part of this story, and another one is actually developing that self-trust, and this self-trust requires discipline. So if you want to trust yourself, how can you do that if every time you're making a promise to yourself, the next thing you do is breaking it? So it also requires a lot of practice, and I would probably say that by going through this progress, you're becoming kinder to yourself, but also kinder to others. And this is also an important mindset shift that I see in my clients.
Well, yeah, I can totally relate to that. What are small habits besides eating healthier foods, more nutritious foods to help the body also recover quicker, to handle stress easier? What are the main tips? How do you start into shifting that mindset, let's say?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really starts with some basic things, and once you master them, and yeah, by the way, they're all totally free, so they are available to just anyone. You slowly, start transforming your life, and the first thing you can start doing is having a glass of pure water in the morning, and spending 15 minutes in the morning enjoying the sunshine, then walking after meals, to help your body utilize glucose better and prevent those sugar cravings you might have. And then introducing some exercise, and since most of my clients, they have those high positions, C-level positions, there is a lot of stress and a lot of responsibility. So what we tend to do is we start with an 8-minute bare minimum, something they can do and truly enjoy, some mild form of exercise. And since I'm a certified Pilates coach, so I'm obviously very much into Pilates and practice. And then, building on top of that, so we can stay at that level, introducing 3 to 5 simple habits over some period of time, and then introducing some mild form of exercise and committing to it. And this is actually how you build that self-trust, because that no matter how your day is gonna unfold, you did those things, and so you actually created that small win for yourself. No matter what happens next, you're already a winner. And this is a really important mindset shift, because we tend to think in terms of taking those big leaps, making those big victories, and we just fail to recognize how much change we can actually create through our daily activities, and all those small moments, small wins that constitute our life. And our life is not about those big wins, because we don't have we obviously don't have them every day. It's about, those small wins that happen every day. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because you were already starting the conversation talking about life is not black and white and a career is not black and white. Like nothing is black and white really in the real life. But I feel especially in the health and wellness industry, it sometimes feels like if you're not into sports already, then you have those images of people that are out there, right? That go to the gym like an hour each morning, and the step is so big that I can totally relate to everybody who's like, I can't, that's not for me. Because it's a huge time investment, and we all know after a very stressful long day at work, the next morning getting up is also not the easiest. So I can totally understand. So I love your concept of just introducing those small changes, and even 8 minutes of sports. It's so helpful. It not just in terms of self-confidence, but I also really truly believe that everything that you do that is positive has a positive, like it accumulates right over your day, and then over the week, and then over the month. And then all of a sudden, those 8 minutes that seem so little each day, they become hours within a month, or then if you calculate within a year, right? Or those small walks after eating what you said. Great. I love it. So I think that's so important, especially these days with social media. And then the sporty people seem always to be like running marathons. And now marathon is not enough. Now everybody's doing an Ironman. I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, great. I love that. I love the concept, and then really introducing that back into women's lives. So people's lives that have big careers. That's really amazing. So thanks a lot for that work as well. I think that also helps to those people being a better leader because they can be more calm in their minds. They have a higher level of awareness, it seems, because if you say even just sitting for a few minutes in the sun and enjoying the sun, that's nearly like a small meditation, right? It's more, and also Pilates is a sport where you're really hyper aware of your body. So I can just imagine those people, if you're working with CEOs, taking that into their jobs as well, right? And being a better leader because of that. Do you also hear some feedback on that? Or is it more really, if you talk with your clients, it's really only health and wellness based? Or do they also tell you about other ripple effects that are positive?
Well, absolutely. And, this is something that we just tend to realize with time is that making a change in one area of your life actually leads to changes in other areas, in all areas of your life. And, this is why I personally believe it's really important to go beyond that idea of just workouts or counting calories and looking at it holistically. Because with the time, you're not just collecting those experiences, you're becoming more and more aware about your own body. And the moment you learn how to listen to it, to regulate your emotions, to actually focus on your priorities, like first by listening to your body feedback. Okay, so I had that short workout and now I feel much more energized. So how can I get more of that energy? And now that I have this energy, where am I going to invest it in? And, we often talk about those transitive skills that we can build during our career. And this is actually one of those skills, and obviously, having more, healthier, more a healthier lifestyle, having more energy, having more clarity, and like I would probably say mental balance. Obviously, spills into all other areas of your life. So it's also about recognizing you have those personal boundaries, defining them, and actually, talking from the center of pride. All of us have in our body. It's just that we don't connected to often, we know that our pride, it lives somewhere in our chest, because this is where we feel, kind of worried, and our anxiety often lives here. But we never kind of, connected to how we show up. And, by actually practicing that posture, it's somehow starts, showing up in the way we talk to other people, in the way we present ourselves, the way we show up in the meeting room. So, it's no longer those rounded shoulders and insecurity. It's just that confidence that first might come through your better posture, and then transition into, that better alignment you have with yourself. And slowly start, transforming your mindset.
Oh, I love that. It reminds me of my spiritual life coach certificate, where one of the main topics around which everything is created is that everything starts within ourselves. So even if you want to be a better leader, you have to first, be better to yourself as well. And if you don't respect yourself, how can you respect others? It's like all connected, right? So I really love that. So I need to say, you have so many great tips out there. You are already saying that some of the tips and the stuff that you do is for free. And I love to browse through your Instagram page, because I think there's just so much value already in that. So you can find Tanya at Tanya Corsa Fit on Instagram, and she has really great posts. So I would really recommend everybody to go there and swipe through some of your posts. Really, really helpful and very inspiring as well. She shares some more insights into her story as well, and just gives out a lot of value for free there too. What are other places where you say the audience can find you, or that you prefer as channels?
I'm mostly on Instagram, and also I'm just working offline with clients in Beijing, and I also have a partnership with WeWork in China, in Beijing. So this is where you can find me.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about the partnership with WeWork? Is it something that everybody at WeWork has access to, or is it more for the people going to WeWork for working remotely?
So it's actually both, and I'm hosting my Pilates classes here and master classes. So this is a part of the collaboration, and also you can just find me online, and thank you for providing this wonderful opportunity to talk to you and meet some new people, because it's always great to connect. So I believe supporting each other is just some core value that I have, and I'd love to get more new people who share the same values in my life. So if you're also in a corporate world, and you also find it, you also found out that you're somewhere in you're somewhere in your journey when you're going through certain transition, and you'd like to to get a little bit more support. I'm always happy to have that conversation in DMs on Instagram, or you can always just find me there, and so we can have a small chat.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. And also, I love what you just said. There are so many people sharing the same values and the same goals all over the world. And we found each other on Instagram as well, right? And it's just so crazy. I'm sitting here in the US and you're in Beijing, and we're doing this interview together. So there's literally no boundaries anymore. So that is just amazing. And before we finish, the very last question I always ask every interviewee or podcast guest is, what is the career or life piece of advice that you would have loved to receive, let's say 5-10 years into your corporate career? What is it that stands out the most to you that you would have loved to know back then already that you know now?
Well, number one is probably, looking at your career strategically and planning ahead. And when I'm saying, having this strategic plan, it's not just about your career, but it's also, being aligned with your values. And I just can stress it more. Because our long-term, if you're playing a long-term game, then you won't be able to play it without connecting and really deeply understanding who you really are. And if we break it down to some mid and short-term goals you might have on your way, I always like to look at it as those points on your CV. So whenever you're joining a new company, you can always, kind of think ahead and ask yourself, what would I put on this section under this company name on my CV now that I can work towards over a certain period of time as I'm staying with this company. And another piece of advice is that obviously, something I wish I would realize much earlier is that, there is actually there are actually those gaps we need to close. So sometimes we just think that our career is just such a huge topic, but then when you break it down to smaller steps and you realize that actually for the next 1 to 3 years I have to close that little gap that's going to take me to the next level, it becomes much easier. And whenever we're in that we find ourselves in that transition period, it's also good to remember that not every position we're going to have is going to be our kind of dream job, but that doesn't mean that our plan is not working. It just means that we can have that gap career and stay there for some time before transitioning to something else. And I guess the most important thing is that we can always lead not only with our mind, but also with our heart. And the moment we learn how to connect both is actually the moment we find that fulfillment in our job.
Well, there are some great ending sentences. There's nothing to add there. Thank you so much, Tanya, for coming to the podcast, for sharing your wisdom and your story. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you again on Insta and doing some more things together.
Oh, thank you, Fela. Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoy what you're doing. So, once again, let's just connect and find each other and create our circle of like-minded people.
Nice. Have a wonderful evening.